Yashodanandana Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastorani. So I think you've been reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita in the morning, so I'd like to read a little bit from that. I think that's a really nice practice to do, to remember Srila Prabhupada. I'm not quite sure where the blue marker. Oh, that's perfect. I'm just thinking, do you do Om Namo Bhagavate now or later? Later, just before the Bhagavatam. Okay. So this is from the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 6, Uniting Two Worlds. And this is, chapter is entitled Krishna's Great Soldier. So as we've been hearing, it's coming to the end of Srila Prabhupada's manifest pastimes on this earth. The last few days, last few weeks. In Vrindavan, Giriraj had seen Prabhupada a number of times, mostly on business. He also regularly took his turn in the kirtan vigils in Prabhupada's rooms. But one day, wanting to take full advantage of Vrindavan, he went to visit some of the temples. At the end of the day, he took rest for the night on the roof of the Gurukul building. In the middle of the night, he was awakened by a devotee saying that Prabhupada wanted to see him. He ran down immediately, aware that Prabhupada might pass away at any moment. Anything Prabhupada might say could be his last words. He came into Prabhupada's room, offered obeisances, and got up very close beside the bed. Do you think this movement can go on without me? Prabhupada asked. Giriraj was astounded that Prabhupada had called him in the middle of the night to ask him this. I think, said Giriraj, that as long as we are sincere and go on chanting Hare Krishna and follow the principles, the movement will be successful. Srila Prabhupada was silent. When he spoke, each word seemed to come with great effort. He uttered the word organization. Then he said, organization and intelligence. Is there anything else? Giriraj felt within his heart that he wanted to cry out, Srila Prabhupada, stay with us. But instead he said, no. All right, Prabhupada said. And Giriraj offered obeisances and left. Outside Prabhupada's room, Giriraj continued to reflect on Prabhupada's words, organization and intelligence. Prabhupada seemed to be demanding much more love and commitment. Not that ISKCON could survive on organization and intelligence alone. Giriraj was thinking that perhaps these might be the last words Prabhupada would ever speak to him. So it's not about, from that, what comes up for me when I hear this, Prabhupada saying organization and intelligence, it's not about just blind faith, just blindly following everything, but using our God-given talents, whatever we've been given. Krishna says, I'm the ability in man. So whatever God-given talents we have, use them to assist Srila Prabhupada in this great mission, in working together to make ISKCON successful, make ISKCON work. Of course, success is not up to us. The result is not up to us. It's about Krishna. But if we work sincerely and try and cooperate together, this will be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. Organization and intelligence. So we need to manage things, we need to organize things, we need to use our intelligence to serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada, to try and work together nicely, follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, but also use our intelligence how to bring this message out to others. And we're coming up to the Prabhupada Marathon. December month is always a big push to go out and share, try and sell some of these books, give this knowledge to others and encourage them to come to Krishna consciousness. So if we organize ourselves nicely and use our intelligence, this will surely be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. We'll leave the reading there today. Has anybody got any reflections on that? What Srila Prabhupada said? Using our organization and intelligence.
Kind of ties in with Prabhupada's last instruction, I think you can show your love for me by having cooperate.
Definitely.
The devotee says, oh, I love Srila Prabhupada, I'm not prepared to cooperate. He's kind of contradicting himself.
That's very, very true. Prabhupada, said that so many times. Because we can we can find so many faults. It's easy to find faults, but rather we try and see the good and try and forgive one another. I think you were talking about that yesterday in your class. You know, these qualities that Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita, these qualities that Srila Prabhupada imbibed, tolerance, forgiveness. So cooperating together means that we don't look for the faults in others. Rather, we try and see the good and try and encourage one another to be the best that we can be. Yeah. And that means overlooking sometimes the little things. When we live together in community, it's not easy because we all are very unique individuals. We all have different ways which we think it should be. We all wanting to use our organization abilities and intelligence. And we always have a tendency to think that I know best and my way is the right way. And so this coming together in community is a great opportunity to practice these tolerance and forgiveness and working together nicely and listening to others' opinions, listening to other people's way of doing things and trying to work together nicely to make this ISKCON grow and flourish. Like I said, everyone can find faults, but better we look for the faults inside ourselves, through introspection. And when challenges come, look inside and see how we can improve ourselves rather than trying to point the finger and improve everybody else. Hare Krishna. So now we'll go on to the Bhagavatam. Got a few books here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. So we're carrying on a reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, text number 29. So we'll do the Sanskrit first. If you can repeat the words, and then we'll do the whole shloka. Hiranmaye Pi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurma Tanum Vibranas Tasya Tat Hiranmaye Pi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurma Tanum Vibranas Tasya Tat Priyatamam Tanum Aryama Saha Varsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipatir Priyatamam Tanum Aryama Saha Varsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipatir. Upadavati Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. Upadavati Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. It's quite a difficult shloka to recite. Well, they're very long lines, so it's hard to get the nice meter going. But we'll do our best. Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurma Tanum Bibranas Tasyatat. Priyataman Tanum Aryama Sahavarsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipatir. Upadavati Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurmatanum Bibranas Tasyatat. Priyatamam Tanum Aryama Sahavarsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipatir. Upadavati Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. Anyone like to try? Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurma. Tanum Bibranas Tasyatat Priyatamanam. Arashidvarsha Parusha Pitri. Ganadipati Upapadaviti Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurmatanum Vibranastasyatat. Priyatamam Tanu Mariama Saha Varsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipiti. Imam Chanu Japati. Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurmatanum Vibranastasyatat. Priyatamam Tanu Mariama Sahavarsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipati. Upadavati Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurmatanum Vibranastasyatat. Priyatmam Tanum Mariama Sahavarsha Purushai Pitri Ganadipati. Bhavati Mantram Imam Chanu Japati. Hiranmaye in Hiranmaya Varsha. Api indeed. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nivasati, resides. Kurma tanum, the body of a tortoise. Vibranaha, manifesting. Tasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tat, that. Priyatamam, dearmost. Tanum, body. Aryama, Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranmaya Varsha. Saha, with. Varsha Purushai, the people of that tract of land. Pitri Gana Dipati, who is the chief of the Pitas. Upadavati, worships in devotional service. Mantram, him. Imam, this. Cha, also. Anujapati, chants. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shukadev Goswami continued. In the Hiranmaya Varsha, the Supreme Lord Vishnu lives in the form of a tortoise, the Kurma Sharira. This most dear and beautiful form is always worshipped there in devotional service by Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranmaya Varsha, along with the other inhabitants of that land. They chant the following hymns. So responsively, Shukadev Goswami continued. In Hiranmaya Varsha, the Supreme Lord Vishnu lives in the form of a tortoise, the Kurma Sharira. This most dear and beautiful form is always worshipped there in devotional service by Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranmaya Varsha, along with the other inhabitants of that land. They chant the following hymns. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Priyatama, dearmost, is very significant in this verse. Each devotee regards a particular form of the Lord as most dear. Because of an atheistic mentality, some people think that the tortoise, boar, and fish incarnations of the Lord are not very beautiful. They do not know that any form of the Lord is always the fully opulent personality of Godhead. Since one of his opulences is infinite beauty, all the Lord's incarnations are very beautiful and are appreciated as such by devotees. Non-devotees, however, think that Lord Krishna's incarnations are ordinary material creatures, and therefore they distinguish between the beautiful and the not beautiful. A certain form of the Lord is worshipped by a particular devotee because he loves to see that form of the Lord. As stated in Brahma-Samhita 5:33. Advaitam achutyam anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha. The very beautiful form of the Lord is always youthful. Sincere servants of a particular form of the Lord always see that form as very beautiful, and thus they engage in constant devotional service to him. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We'll read the verse again. Shukadev Goswami continued, in the Hiranmaya Varsha, the Supreme Lord Vishnu lives in the form of a tortoise, the Kurma Sharira. This most dear and beautiful form is always worshipped there in devotional service by Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranmaya Varsha, along with the other inhabitants of that land. They chant the following hymns. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, such a wonderful work that Srila Prabhupada has made available for us. He came to the West carrying 3 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says he accompanied the Srimad Bhagavatam to the West, and because he wanted to give us, make this wisdom available throughout the whole world. And so it's said that every word of the Bhagavatam is so important. So this is why in all our temples all over the world, devotees come together and we study Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada had given us such a wonderful process. It's so complete. All the prayers that he gives us to chant in the mornings. The morning program is so wonderful because it encompasses all these different processes of devotional service. So he's given us such a wonderful, complete process. So we simply follow this process, we are guaranteed success. If we stick with the process, we are guaranteed success. So it's wonderful to see that, devotees here in this community are strictly following and trying to please Guru Maharaj, trying to please Srila Prabhupada by following these wonderful processes. So we'll just look a little bit at Srila Prabhupada's purport that is given there, these wonderful purports that give us so much knowledge and wisdom. So the first thing that Srila Prabhupada emphasizes from this verse is the word Priyatama. Is that pronounced correct? Have I pronounced it correctly? Priyatama. Priyatama, yes. Priyatama, the dearmost, very dear. So it's very much about the heart. Each devotee, each of us will find an attraction for a different form of the Lord. And here, the residents of this planet, they're worshipping the form of Kurma, the tortoise incarnation. So each of us will find that we're attracted to a different form of the Lord, and that's good. We should be attracted to a different form of the Lord. Our constitutional position is to be in loving service with the Lord. In order to be in loving service, there has to be an attraction from the heart. So these devotees, they are worshipping Kurma. And it's said that there are so many different incarnations. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains this, that there are so many different incarnations of the Lord. Of course, we understand from the conclusions of the Vedas that Srila Prabhupada has given to us that the form of Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he comes many times into this world in different forms. And in each of those forms, he comes with the same reason, to try to reclaim the living entities. Don't waste your time messing around in this material world. Birth and death, and the cycle of birth and death, the samsara, the wheel, the karmic reactions. So each time he comes, he tries to attract the living entities to go back into the spiritual realm. So it's described that there are, in the Bhagavatam, it's described that there are 10, we understand about the 10 main incarnations, the Dasi avatar. We have beautiful songs describing these 10 main incarnations. But Bhagavatam also explains that as there are many waves on the ocean, there are so many incarnations of the Lord. Sometimes he comes in so many different ways. Sometimes partial incarnations, sometimes Shaktivation incarnations, Purusha avatar incarnation. So many different types of incarnations are there. And now he's coming in the form of Shishi Gornitai to bless us. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so many times he comes. It's described that all these incarnations, all the incarnations of the Lord are full in all opulences. It's not that we should think, oh, well, he came as a tortoise. So devotees understand that he's not just an ordinary tortoise, but he's always full in all opulences. And we know that this word Bhagavan means full in all opulences. And everything that's attractive in this world, we can see that the Lord has in completeness. So all beauty, all strength, all wealth, all fame, all knowledge, and all renunciation. So only the Lord has these in full. We can see these attractions in the world, but only the Supreme Personality of Godhead has these in full and completeness. So in each of these incarnations, the Lord is completely perfect. And it's said that there are planets, Vaikuntha planets, where the Lord is residing in each of these different forms. So somewhere, as we're seeing here, there's a planet where Kurma Dev is worshipped. And the devotees there, they're worshipping him for that form of the Lord. He is their worshipable Lord. He is their Ishta Devataha. And there's a planet of Lord Ram, and the sincere devotees of Lord Ram will be worshipping there. And so on and so on. So in the time of, I just wanted to mention one devotee at the time of Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya had his manifest pastimes here, approximately just over 500 years ago. We understand that he is an incarnation of Radha and Krishna combined, came into this world to deliver to deliver the world, to break open the storehouse of love of God, make this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra available for everyone, the qualified and the unqualified. He wanted to give this mercy out to everyone. So many devotees collected around him. And there was one devotee called Murari Gupta. So Murari Gupta was a great scholar and a great learned personality. He was a little bit older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he was very attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a great devotee himself. He was devoted to Lord Ram. He was very attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was young, he would have many pastimes with Murari Gupta because he was there in Navadvip area. Then one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they had a very loving relationship and even teasing relationship. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to tease him in many ways. But he also had great respect for Murari Gupta. And one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining about how Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and we should give up all other types of worship and simply concentrate our mind on the supreme personality of Godhead. And that night, Murari Gupta was very, very disturbed, actually, and he couldn't sleep very well. He was thinking about these instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he was feeling very kind of heartbroken. Anyway, he came back the next day quite morose, and he spoke to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he said, "Oh, you know, I just can't do it. I'm such an offender. I know who you are. I know that you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you're having wonderful pastimes here. But I cannot give up my worship of Lord Ram. It's where my heart is." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood. He knew that when he'd spoken to Murari Gupta the day before, he was like giving him a little test. He knew that Murari Gupta was actually, it said that he was an expansion or an incarnation of Hanuman. And Hanuman, we know, is the greatest devotee of Lord Ram. And so he blessed Murari Gupta and said, "I understand that you are attracted, your heart is there with Lord Rama, and so it should be," because he told him who he was. He was an expansion of Hanuman. Yeah. So it's not that we could, there's anything wrong with worshipping Lord Ram. We have our Nishingadev, and some devotees are very attracted to the worship of Lord Nishingadev. But particularly in our Guru Parampara, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya that we're in, very much the worship of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. This is the mood of the special mood that we've been given, the love of the Vrijabasis in Vrindavan. This is the mood of our worship, like that. So we may be attracted to different forms of the Lord, but we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And although he is the source of all incarnations, he is the source of all material and spiritual worlds. He teaches us that in the Bhagavad Gita. Teaches us so many things in the Bhagavad Gita. So even though we know that Krishna is the source of everything, all power, all knowledge, all fame, all wisdom, but all renunciation as well. And what does he like to do? His favorite place is where his heart is in the beautiful forests of Vrindavan, and exchanging wonderful loving pastimes with all his confidential devotees like that. Prabhupada quotes in here from the Brahma-Samhita, 533. Brahma-Samhita, beautiful work given to us by Lord Brahma at the beginning of creation. He sang these beautiful prayers. Once he had that realization from within the heart, Krishna enlivened him through his flute, and he recited these beautiful Brahma-Samhita prayers, which we sing every morning in all our temples around the world, the Govindam prayers. So this is there's so many prayers, and we particularly sing those two that Srila Prabhupada has given us, that are beautiful descriptions about Krishna. But here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is quoting 533. Advaitam achyucham anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha. So just give a little breakdown of that beautiful, I mean, even the poetry of it is so wonderful. Advaitam achyucham anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha. It's beautiful sounding poetry. Advaitam. So these are all the different qualities of Krishna that Lord Brahma is discussing. Advaitam, without a second. Achyutam, infallible, without decay. So it never decays, never eternal personality of Godhead. Anadim, without beginning. So the qualities of Krishna. Anantarupam, possesses unlimited forms. So here again, we're talking about the Kurma avatar, then we have, there's the boar incarnation, the fish incarnation. But like we were saying, and like Prabhupada explains, that all these incarnations are full in all the opulences of the Supreme Lord. And he talks about the atheistic people, how they can't understand that. They can't understand how the Lord can manifest himself in the form of a boar or Nishingadev, the half lion, half man. They cannot even, like when Krishna was here or was here, not everyone could understand the Lord, who he was, in his different forms. But it's only the devotees, those who are devoted to the Lord, that they can understand who he is, like that. So just go back to that. Anantarupam, so the Lord possesses unlimited forms. Adyam, the beginning of everything, the source of everything. The Purana Purusham, the most ancient person. Navayovanam, the fresh blooming youth, so eternally youthful. So it's said that when Krishna comes himself in his own original form, he never goes beyond the age of, and never appears to be beyond the age of 16. That's the age of fresh blooming youth, like that. Although he appeared to live on this earth planet for, I think, 125 years. Yes, 125 years. He never became like an old man, decrepit and long beard and, walking stick and all that. No, he always remained like a Navayovanam, a fresh blooming youth, like that. Vedeshu, through the Vedas. So all this information about the different incarnations, about the Supreme Lord, about the creation of everything, we find in the Vedas, the law books for mankind. Durlabham, inaccessible. Adurlabham, easy to obtain. Durlabham, adurlabham. So that's always that, the duality is there. What's that? That's just escaping me at the moment. Achinchas, what is it? Achincha Veda Veda Tattva. Yeah, that, inconceivable, like that. We can't fully understand. So here, that description of the Lord is durlabham, or inaccessible. You can't fathom it. You can't get to the bottom of it. And adurlabham, but at the same time, easy to obtain. And how is it easy to obtain? Through devotion, through bhakti, through that heart connection with the Lord. And as it says here, atma bhakto, through pure devotion of the soul. So durlabham, inaccessible. We can't actually approach him. But adurlabham, atma bhakto, through pure devotional service, through pure devotion of the soul, we can get him. And then the final verse, Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. the end of each of the verses of the that Brahma-Samhita. So Govindam, what does Govindam mean? One who gives pleasure to the cows and pleasure to the senses. So it's very encouraging that here in this community, the next step, you are hoping to get some oxen and then maybe then move on when that's established to a dairy farm. We see that Krishna is always accompanied by the cows. So be very pleasing to Krishna. And anything that's pleasing to Krishna, of course, will be pleasing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was mad after love of God. Yeah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread the chanting of the Maha Mantra everywhere, made it accessible and available for everyone. And then in his later years, he became very intoxicated with this love of God, like that. Govindamadi Purusham, the original person, Tamaham Bhajami, unto him, unto you, I worship and I adore, like that. So that was like just explaining a little bit about that beautiful adverse from the Chaitanya Brahma-Samhita. So just say a little bit about this word Priyatama, dearmost, that Prabhupada mentions in this verse. Very dear. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling us in verses what he wants from us. There's one verse, well, there's actually two verses in Bhagavad Gita that are very, very similar. I'm sure most of you devotees will be aware of those verses. The end of chapter 9 in Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge. So Krishna has given us very confidential knowledge, very confidential, very secret. It's there for everyone to see, but not everyone can fully understand it. So the end of the 9th chapter, where Krishna is giving Arjuna this most confidential knowledge, he finishes it up on that verse, Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaisise yuktvevam, atmanam mat parayanaha. So engage your mind, Krishna says, engage your mind always in thinking of me. Worship me and offer your homage unto me, being completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me, like that. So, mame vaishasi, yuktvevam, being absorbed in me, atmanam mat parayana, being devoted to me. So Krishna is telling us, he's telling Arjuna, but he's also telling us how we need to absorb our minds in thoughts of Krishna. Instead of absorbing our minds in things of this material world, we want to absorb our mind in Krishna. Yes, we have to do our duties, but we get that higher taste by absorbing our minds in Krishna. So that this verse comes in the 934. It also comes in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, 1865, where the first 2.5 lines are exactly the same. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaisisi, oh no, I got it wrong, didn't I? Mame vaisisi yuktvevam. Oh no, sorry. Mame vaisisi, excuse me. Okay. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaisisi, say again? Satyam te, pratijani priyosi me. I've got my notes and I still can't even read it. It's crazy. What to do? Limited. Yeah. So there he's saying, pratijani, I promise you. And why does he promise? Priyosi me, because you are very dear to me. So, so we are, Krishna is saying that we're very dear to him. We're like his children, just like parents are very parents are very loving towards the children. The children are very dear to them. So we're like the children of Krishna. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. We're created by him, and our constitutional position is to render loving service to him. So we are very dear to Krishna. So, but that has become covered over in our hearts. So the more we cleanse our hearts, the more we can regain that feeling, that heart feeling towards Krishna. So I've got a few other notes, but actually what I wanted to do a little bit was to just read a little bit from the Krishna book, because in order to absorb our minds always in thinking of Krishna, we have to understand a little bit more about Krishna, and hear a little bit about Krishna. So I just selected a little bit from the Krishna book, which is taken from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and just a little bit about that Vrindavan mood of Krishna, with some very nice little descriptions of Krishna. So last month we had a beautiful month. It was a month of Kartik, and we were absorbing ourselves in remembering that little form of Krishna being bound up by Mother Yashoda. And twice in that month we remembered the pastime where Lord Krishna is dancing he's calling the gopis to dance in the full moon night. We had 2 beautiful full moons in the month of Kartik, right at the beginning and right at the end. So in these ways, Srila Prabhupada has given us this process for how to engage our mind in Krishna. And we get that higher taste right now. So I'll just do a little reading here, if that's okay with you all. The gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna that they were not satisfied simply with the rasa dance at night. So they'd had this rasa dance, but even that wasn't enough for them. They wanted to associate with him and enjoy his company during the daytime also. When Krishna went to the forest with his cowherd boys and cows, the gopis did not physically take part, but their hearts went with him. And because their hearts went, they were able to enjoy his company through strong feelings of separation. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession of Goswamis. When we are not in physical contact with Krishna, we can associate it with him, like the gopis, through feelings of separation. Krishna's transcendental form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage are all identical with him. There are 9 different kinds of devotional service. Devotional service to Krishna in feelings of separation elevates the devotee to the highest perfectional level. Like that. So obviously I'm going to miss a little bit there. Okay, I'll just read a little bit more about the descriptions of Krishna. The gopis used to discuss Krishna amongst themselves, and their talks were as follows. My dear friends, one gopi said, do you know that when Krishna lies on the ground, he rests on his left elbow and his head rests on his left hand. He moves his attractive eyebrows while playing his flute with his delicate fingers, and the sound he produces creates such a nice atmosphere that the denizens of the heavenly planets who travel in space with their wives and beloveds stop their airplanes, for they are stunned by the vibration of the flute. The wives of the demigods who are seated in the plains then become very much ashamed of their singing and musical qualifications. None of them can compare to Krishna. Another gopi said, my dear friends, Krishna is so beautiful that the goddess of fortune always remains on his chest, and he is always adorned with a golden necklace. Beautiful Krishna plays his flute in order to enliven the hearts of many devotees. He is the only friend of the suffering living entities. When he plays his flute, all the cows and other animals of Vrindavan although engaged in eating, simply taking a morsel of food in the mouth, stop chewing. Their ears raise up and they become stunned. They do not appear alive, but like painted animals. Krishna's flute playing is so attractive that even the animals become enchanted, and what to speak of ourselves. And so I've just noticed what the time is actually, that we've run out of time. But I was reading these beautiful descriptions of Krishna. So in order for us to become attracted to the form of Krishna, we need to hear more about him. And so it's very important that we read these wonderful books and share this with each other and meditate on these beautiful forms of the Lord like that. So time is passing by. So if anybody's got any reflections or any questions, please feel free to ask now. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. It's an online question posted by Krsna. She's asking, firstly, Hare Krishna, please accept her humble obeisances or glorious Krishna Prabhupada. Thank you for your wonderful class. So she's saying, when we serve the Lord, we can have so many motivated desires. How can we serve the Lord in a way that He wants, rather in a way that we want? There's another bit in the question.
Okay.
Is it enough to serve Him with devotion, or is there more to it?
Devotion is very important, and that's the essence of what we're trying to achieve in this process of bhakti yoga. But it's not a sentimental thing. We were reading the nice descriptions of Krishna, and we can understand that the gopis that we were reading about now, they had been great sages in a previous life, that they had formed great austerities and penances in order to get to that position. Not only the gopis and all the residents of Vrindavan like that. So it's so the essence of that question. Can you just repeat the essence of that question again?
When we serve the Lord, we have motivated desires.
Motivated desire.
How can we serve the Lord in a way that Krishna wants, rather than in a way that I want?
Yeah. By inquiring from the spiritual master, by reading these books. Once again, it always comes down to the same thing. By associating with devotees, by taking the instruction of the spiritual master and following those instructions. We all have motivated desires. And Krishna consciousness is a gradual process. So we have to start from wherever we are, even if we do have those motivated desires, but become aware of them. And not just blindly, just... So this is why we need Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra to check out. So it's good to work under an authority. It's good to inquire submissively and render service. So whatever is your local temple, your temple authority, try and work in cooperation with them. One devotee or devotees have said to Srila Prabhupada, how can I serve you? What can I do for you? And Prabhupada said, what do you want to do for me? What service do you want to do? So he could understand that we all have a different kind of mentality. We all have different talents. We all have things that we like to do, enjoy to do. So it's good to do the things that we like and enjoy to do according to our own natures and do that in the service of the Lord. But it's also good to not only do it for our own enjoyment, for our own motivated desires, but also to see how can I please the Lord. So we can please the Lord by cooperating together, by working with the authorities, by doing the needful, by doing what needs to be done. So I would say to this lady here that please look inward, see what your motivated desires are, what it is that's motivating you, and then just try and purify those. And we do that through chanting the Maha Mantra, through study like that, and try and serve in a way that's not so motivated. But it's a gradual process and it's a gradual realization. And we do the best we can and we help one another and then slowly come up to that higher level platform. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Has anybody got any reflections that they'd like to add to that? Any points? Yes.
I just had this morning, Mark was talking in the video about he used to do the high jump and you jump over the pole and you go into the head. He said so. You always make the mistake of putting the pole to 3 meters. So when you're clear, then you try to go an inch above that, and then you go a little bit deeper, and the pole will go down an inch or two.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to jump 3 meters and discouraging yourself and getting frustrated, just find what you can do and then see how you can raise it an inch every day.
Yeah, that's perfect. Very good thing. That's a very good realization. Yeah. So do what we can. Be realistic about what our abilities are, because otherwise you won't be able to maintain it. You'll become discouraged. You know, if you try to come to a level that you're not at, then you know that will lead to our fall down like that. We know Srila Prabhupada, when he first came to the West, when he first went to America, you know, the devotees were in a very fallen condition, but Prabhupada tolerated them and tried to engage them in different types of devotional service. And we can see that here in this community. So many volunteers will come, so many visitors will come. They'll all have their own different motivations, you know, but try and see where they are, see where they're at, and try and engage them in devotional service. And also, as you go out on Sankirtan and you're meeting people, try to see where they're at and just try and give them a little bit and just keep coming forward, keep coming forward, keep coming forward. So I think I'll close there, unless anybody else has any reflections or points that they want to make. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone.